Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining me and my very special guests, three of the stars from the new musical Sing Street. Please say hello to Brenock O'Connor, Zara Devlin, and Gus Halper.
Hello.
Hey, everyone, how are you?
Hi.
Yeah, good, thanks.
Now, first, tell our audience where you're all coming from today.
I'm in London.
I'm in Northern Ireland.
And I'm in Vermont.
Isn't it great? And I'm here in New York, so I thank you for being a part of my virtual at-home edition of Backstage with Richard Ridge. You have such a huge fan base already at Broadway World. First of all, how are you all doing? Tell me what's happening, since the shutdown began. What's up? How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. We're doing okay. We're keeping sane, keeping inside. Since it all kicked off, I've come home. I'm back in England, obviously. I'm up in London again, which is somewhere I hadn't been for 7 months since Sing Street started. And it's just trying to take it each day as it comes and see what happens, really. There's nothing more to do.
Yeah. I'm back at my parents' house in Northern Ireland, and it's a really rural area. So it's kind of like where I am. You don't actually feel what's happening until you turn the news on, which is it's kind of lovely. But it's horrifying then when you see what's happening in the big cities, So I'm very lucky that I can walk my dog wherever I want to, but there's no one around.
Yeah.
And Gus, what's it like up in Vermont? Yeah, what's it like up there?
It's beautiful. It's snowing. There's mountains. There's a little pond.
Lucky man.
So lucky. And I got to spend a lot of time with my family. I spent more time consecutively with my mom and my brother under the same roof than I have in 15 years. I think we figured out. So that was kind of, that was a little bit of a, that was a blessing to get to spend that time with them. And it's what can I say? I feel grateful to be out of to have been able to get out of New York.
Well, you were supposed to begin previews. Was it March 26th was supposed to be your first preview date? And you were supposed to open on April 19th at the Lyceum Theater. Well, of course, Broadway shut down on March 12th. What was that day like for each of you? Where were you all?
Well, the day began with our final bit in the rehearsal studio. So we were all called in for an hour-long note session. Now, Rebecca is an incredible director, but we've never been called in for an all-inclusive note session before. I've been working with Rebecca since I was 18, and this is two years working with this woman. I've never had a full, grand sit-down note session. So we all go in, and it starts with how are we all doing? How are we all feeling? Are we staying safe? Are we washing hands? And I was like, I hadn't really thought that this pandemic that was being talked about was going to go any further, because obviously I just like to think that things will just continue as normal. So we have this note session and just a general chat about the state of the world and everyone's fears and worries, and it suddenly felt very real. I'll let someone else say how they're doing.
Well, and then Brenock and I went to what was it, an Irish pub?
Yeah, we had a costume fitting on the other side of town. So we went to an Irish pub for some breakfast
for our last meal out.
The last meal in
little did we know then that the gross salmon wrap that I got was the last thing that I would have at a restaurant for months.
The last meal out.
Yeah. Brenock, I remember me and you rehearsing one day, and I remember I was like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, why are you all being so dramatic?
And I'm a real button pusher. When someone's starting to worry about something, I will just prod that little bit and have a little joke. So Zara would be like, "Oh my God, I don't know if we'll be able to do it." I was like, "Oh yeah, we might shut down. And then a week later we'd shut down, and I was like, "Oh, I really shouldn't have made those jokes. It was too close to the bone in the end."
Yeah.
But yeah, it was our first day of tech as well on the 12th. So after our notes and after our costume fittings, we all went to the Lyceum Theatre, or the boys in the band went to the Lyceum to sound check. So I walk into this theatre, and as I walk in, I get an email saying there's a company meeting on the stage at 4. And I was like, okay, great, let's just continue the sound check. And while we're on stage, we get halfway through Drive It Like You Stole It, and someone pulls out their phone, and Doubtfire's Shutdown. And we're like, okay, and we play another song, and we look, and Moulin Rouge is shut down, and we're like, I think we know what's coming.
Yeah.
And at 4, everyone gathered on the stage, and Barbara told us that it was time to stop.
And at 4 o'clock was, for me, was the first time I had ever, I walked in at like 3:59. So I walked on the stage, I saw the theatre, and then we were told a few minutes later that it was being shut down. Yeah.
Gus, for you, when they told you, were you on stage?
I was home.
Okay.
Because I was about to step into my costume fitting, and I got the news that Broadway was shutting down. So we sort of, I think we knew, or maybe I was in my costume fitting later than you guys, or I was going to come.
There were lots of rumors about it shutting down, and everyone's agents were hearing different things, and we were just waiting for that one final moment.
And I was about to go into a costume fitting with the amazing Bob Crowley, and I had a little tickle in my throat. I had like the mildest sore throat, and I like totally freaked out, rightfully so, and decided to not do that and to just go home. So it turned out to be nothing. I think it was my wisdom tooth.
Yeah.
But they were nice enough to call me and put me on the conference call when Barbara made the announcement to everybody. So I was sorry that I couldn't be there with everybody for that, but
well, you were missed.
Yeah.
So when were you able to process it all? Because I know you've all, you're Ireland and London and Vermont. Like, did you pack right up? Did you decide to get out of town? I mean, how did you process it all mentally?
Sort of still happening. I've sort of always said I'll really sit down and get to terms with it tomorrow. And now there's been a whole month of tomorrows, and I'm just sort of keeping myself as blind to it as possible. Because if I think about the genuine ramifications of what's going on, it's too scary. It's far too scary to consider.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really hit me when I was at the airport going home to Ireland. Usually when you hop on a plane, you're going somewhere like a holiday or somewhere you want to be. And I want to be in Ireland, of course. I love it here, but it's just not at that time,
Yeah. I think Emma and my girlfriend and I packed up almost right away.
Yeah.
And, we were like, I mean, really any excuse to get out of New York. So, and this one was a pretty good one, and we were lucky enough to have somewhere to go. So, that was a short drive. So I think we were out of there like just a day or two after the announcement was made.
So how are you dealing with the hunkering down? We're over a month plus into all of this. So, what's a day like for you now? Like, how do you structure your days? Because, we've talked to a lot of stars here, and, everyone's been wanting to like add structure to their day. So so you actually have a day. It's not just hours blending into the next. So like, what's a day like for you?
I think I'm a bit of a sadist. I really love the lack of structure. I'm really, really enjoying it. I wake up at about 1, and then I go to bed at about 6 in the morning. And I just spend the day writing music and listening to music and watching films and writing scripts. And I'm really enjoying the sort of manic lifestyle that this has allowed me to have. Because work has been so intense since last October, I've sort of not had time for a life outside of that. So now I've suddenly been given all the free time I could possibly want. So I'm just doing everything that I couldn't do while Sing Street was going. And there are moments where you realize that you're like standing on your balcony at 4 o'clock in the morning, listening to like death metal. And then you're like, you know what, just allow yourself this moment and we'll get through it. Normality will come back sure enough. So enjoy it while it lasts.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of things on Facebook and Instagram from other people kind of making you feel like you're not doing as much as them, or that because they're baking carrot cake, that you should be baking carrot. And it's so fine to just do whatever you want. Like, you know, but I'm kind of I like to have a kind of structure. So I make sure I'm up at a certain time and that I get a walk, because that would put me insane, I think, if I was doing that, you know.
I think I am going to bed earlier and waking up earlier than I ever did before, which is, I don't know why. I don't know what psychologically I needed to, you know, like, I don't know. It's odd to me, but I'm exhausted by about 9:30, and I'm in bed at 10, and I'm asleep by 10:30, almost, you know, 10:30, 11, almost every night. And then, you know, so, and I've never been that. I've always been up until 2 in the morning, and, you know, slept until noon.
I'm the same as
But I don't know. You know what I think it is that so much has changed that it feels easier to just change other, you know, it feels easier to make other changes as well.
It feels like it's more in our control if we're choosing to change our lifestyle because of the situation we're in, rather than the situation we're in changing our lifestyle.
You nailed it. You totally nailed it. That's what it is. It's some control. Yeah.
Well, you know, when you're doing a show, I mean, talk about structure. There's so much structure in that lifestyle of putting a new show together, rehearsing, teching, you know, previewing, adding new material into a show, whatever. So I'm sure when this all happened, everyone I've spoken to said the one thing they said was, I never realized how tired I was, you know, of working towards something that when you have, you know, it was sort of like they could breathe for a while and then said, then I'll put my life back together again. But they realized, they were like, oh, I could sleep in, I could relax, I didn't have to rehearse. You know, it was that sort of thing. And like Brenock, you said you're making your own day-to-day, and it changes.
Yeah.
So
I think the thing that's really like come to the forefront of my mind now that I've got all this time is how lucky I was to be surrounded by so many talented individuals in every waking minute of my day for 7 months. It was the most incredible room to be in. And now looking back on it, I was like, oh, I did not utilize this at all. I could have had an album out of these boys if we were in the room every day together, but because we were working so hard on Sing Street, we never did. And now that we've got all the time, we're in like 5 different states, and it's crazy. But that's what's really become important in my mind is once this is over, I'm appreciating the people I'm around.
Yeah, it's made me very grateful for things that I maybe took for granted a little bit before. And the cast that we had, the cast and crew that we had, is like, it's the thing that I miss most, because it really it's like it really is a family. It's a beautiful theater family. And every time we get on Zoom, you know, it's like, it's so bittersweet, because there's nothing I love more than, you know, being around you guys and being and you know, seeing your faces and getting to talk to you all. And I want to do it every day again so badly.
I know.
Yeah.
Big shout out to everyone, by the way. The Sing Street guys, we love you all.
Big love to all the boys and the girls.
How often do you Zoom with the cast? Like, how often do you get together as a company?
We did it on our big milestones as the whole company. So on our first preview and our opening night, we all got together, cast and crew, and had a big like Zoom party. And I say Zoom party, it was, as Gus said, it was very bittersweet. It was about 50 people in a Zoom call, just sat there going, hi, miss you guys. Cheers. See you when this is over. And then just the next person says it, and then the next person says it, and then an hour's gone, and you're like, well, I still miss all these people, but at least I've seen their faces a little bit. It's a strange one.
Well, it's the way a family can stay connected. You know, in the theater, you know, you're closer to the people you're working with sometimes than your real families.
Absolutely.
Completely.
Especially for me and Zara, being so many miles away from our families, that we really found a new like ground to build our lives around in the people in Sing Street. It's a great foundation.
Oh yeah. You couldn't do it without them. I think our team is just the most generous, approachable people.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know about you, Brenock, but I've felt very at home very quickly.
Yeah, instantly. I was terrified. I'd only ever worked in the States once before, and that was in Savannah, Georgia. And I'd heard all about New York and its crazy, crazy ways, and I was terrified to come out. I love the idea of it, but was like, oh my God, what if it's not for me? What if I hate this wonderful place? Yeah. And I walked into that rehearsal room and was like, oh no, it's just the exact people that I need to be around. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, I had nightmares before I came to New York, but I had this image. Right, where I was just picturing what our apartments were beautiful.
Gorgeous.
But I had this nightmare of being in this room and some guy like banging on the door at night. Because I had never been to New York. I had only seen things like Taxi Driver. And you know, so it was like it was heaven when I got there.
That's amazing.
Nothing like you thought you saw in the movies.
No. Yeah.
No, nothing.
It is not. Nothing. It is not Travis Bickle's New York anymore.
Well, you know, how did you all get connected to Sing Street, and how intense was the audition process? Because a lot of you play a lot of instruments, right?
I think it's fair to say I'm the one that's been attached for the longest out of the cast. I did the initial London workshop back in October 2018. It was an untitled musical project, but they sent through the trailer for Sing Street for reference to watch it, and I was like, okay. And I went into the room and did one of the scenes, and I actually did my first tape for it. I was on holiday in Amsterdam at the time. And I recorded my first tape for Sing Street in a park in Amsterdam because I was in a 6-bed hostel room. So I recorded it and sent it in, and they liked it, and I met them, and it was a bog standard audition process because all I needed to play was the guitar, and I do that somewhat okay. So I did that, went in the room, did the workshop. Another brilliant group of boys who are now my absolute family in London. They're the reason that I love London so much, is the original Sing Street London boys. And then about a year later, after they'd done another workshop and auditioned people in the States, they were like, do you want to come and do it? I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Let's do it.
That's great. Zara, for you. Yeah.
I was in Dublin at the time. I was doing the Glass Menagerie at the Gate Theatre. And I think mine was all pretty, I sent a self-tape. And then I think it was maybe a week later, I was in London meeting the guys, the creative team. And that was great. I loved that. I went with my dad. And then a week later, I think Rebecca and Enda met me in Dublin for the final audition. And then I think a few days after that, I got a call, and my life was just... It was the best feeling ever. It was amazing. I never forget getting that phone call. Yeah.
I auditioned for it last spring. I don't remember the month, but and it was pretty straightforward, pretty standard. You know, I went in once, played guitar. I think I went in for Rebecca, Martin Lowe, Patrick, and Tara Rubin, and I think that was it. And did it once, and then I had a dialect session with Deb Hecht for like an hour.
Deb Hecht.
Brilliant,
brilliant. Yeah, love her. And then I went back in one more time, and that was pretty much it. But I think that at that point they only thought that my character would play guitar, so all I did was play guitar. I did actually play a little bit of piano. I'm sorry. And they, you know, for the Broadway version, for anybody who's seen the New York Theater Workshop version, in the Broadway version, I get to play a lot more piano, which I love.
This man does things in the show now.
But yeah, it was a pretty straightforward. You know, it was like two audition, an audition and a callback, basically.
So when you originally went in, did you do something from Sing Street, or you sang something else and played something else?
I sang Army by Ben Folds.
Okay.
And then Yeah, yeah. And then no, they never
John
had
Denver.
Yeah.
John Denver, class.
Yeah.
I sung Mona Lisa's and Mad Hatters by Elton John, and then one of my own tracks.
Nice.
Awesome.
And then Zara, what did you sing, Zara, when you went in? Yeah.
John Denver, Annie's song. And then do you know that song? Didn't I see you crying? What's that called? Oh, didn't I? I can't remember what it's called, but I love the song. I just can't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
I did that one as well.
How well did you all know the film beforehand?
I'd heard of it. I'd been told I'd love it because it was my type of film, set in Ireland, kid writing songs for a girl. I was like, great, it's right up my street. And then just never got around to watching it. And then I got the tape through and saw the trailer again and went, oh God, this film. And I watched it eventually, and it's phenomenal. It's perfect. It's a gorgeous coming of age story set within this beautiful renaissance of music. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when it first came out, I was saying to you earlier, Brenock, that we were the Irish people are really proud of Irish things, you know? Yeah. So the fact that this beautiful movie was a really big thing to happen to Dublin and to Ireland. So yeah, I think I saw it about 4 times or something. Yeah, we were all pretty obsessed with it. It's brilliant. Love it.
It is.
Yeah.
I've only ever heard of it. I have yet to watch it, but I did hear I'd heard amazing things about it before I even got sent the audition, and then after that I just never got around to it. And then I sort of started thinking like, well, you know, I've heard so many amazing things about Jack Rayner that I don't really, you know, I'm, you know,
I wouldn't watch it.
No, I don't think I don't know that I will. I mean, I guess like
in like 10 years time you will.
When I know I'm done, I've been done with it for a very long time. I think I'll watch it. It'll be so weird, crazy, you know.
There were a couple of times when I almost convinced you.
Yeah,
a couple of times we were sat in the dressing room and I was like, "Come on, come over tonight. We'll open a bottle of wine, watch a little bit of Sing Street."
I resisted.
You already have an incredible fan base to this musical, because didn't you all do Broadway Con?
We did, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
What was that experience?
That was really
I was
cool.
there that day. What was that experience like for you? Everybody in the building was like, "Oh my God, the cast of Sing Street is here. They're going to go on."
It was mental. I'd done a couple of like conventions before, because obviously I did my run in Game of Thrones, and that sets you up for a lifetime of conventions if you want. People are always going to be down to meet people from Thrones. But that convention was something else. It was a whole new level of excitement, because no one gets more excited for things than musical theatre fans.
Yeah,
true.
They're insane. I love them. I used to be
Dressed
like
up.
a proper fanboy for musical theatre, and I love just immersing myself in that world again. It was great. People cared as soon as we stepped on stage. It's usually you got to win an audience over, but these people were just like, "I'm there. Give it to me. Give us all you need." Great.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, at that time, I had never seen a Broadway musical. I had seen 2 straight Broadway, To Kill a Mockingbird, and I can't remember what the other one was. Yeah. But I hadn't seen a musical at that stage. So it was my first experience seeing, what is this? This is amazing. And yeah, my first Broadway musical was Moulin Rouge. I finally went and see it. Go see it. It's like the best thing ever.
I'll go see it now.
Yeah, don't go see it now. No one's going to be there.
Everyone's going to have to wait to see it.
Yeah.
Gus, what about the fans for you? Like, it's so quick. This musical got this incredible fan base.
I know. Well, you know, I'm so grateful for all of that. I feel a little bit removed from it because I don't have social media, so I don't really get to. It's the one part of not having social media that I regret, is that I don't get to actually like talk to people who really love the stuff that I'm involved in. You know, so you know, maybe I'll rethink that eventually. But and I didn't get to go to Broadway Con, but I saw the videos and it looked like such a friggin' blast. These guys killed it. So yeah, I mean, I'm so incredibly grateful for it. I do feel a little bit removed from it though. I wish there was a way that I could engage with the fans without having to have, you know, Instagram or Twitter. But I'm not sure that really, you know, maybe stage door stuff, but that's probably a thing of the past.
Yeah, that's going to change too, the way that's done, because so. I had all the stars of Moulin Rouge on last week, and they were saying that their company managers and their producers said early on they had sort of heard that this was coming and said there's going to be no more guests backstage. At the stage door, everyone's going to be told to like literally hand a playbill over, like reach their arm out, you'll sign it, no selfie. So they were sort of onto this early on.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that whole stage door thing is going to have to change because of how it all works, of getting so close to people.
Yeah.
But everybody sort of looks for that connection. What was it like meeting the fans down at the New York Theater Workshop? Because that's where this all began here in New York. What was that like for all of you?
Well, that was fun. It felt more like studio theatre. It felt great. You'd come out of the same door. There was no like secret backstage door to get you like out around the front. You had to walk through the theatre and come out through the lobby to get out and go and have lunch or leave for the night. So you'd be walking through this lobby of people, and it just felt like I was back doing like my local theatre and being involved in this like community and this family who people hanging out and friends and family coming to see. It felt humble and small, and it was lovely. I think I'd be intimidated by the whole Broadway stage door thing.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Brenock. And for me, it did feel like a local, like my local hall theatre. And it's like just this beautiful family. It just had that gorgeous atmosphere that I will always want to go back there, you know?
Yeah.
Gus, I'm sure it was sort of like just friends and family. Like I see everything there, and like the people who wait afterwards are a few fans, but it's mostly friends and family that wait for you down there. Like you're going to dinner with them or something else.
Yeah, which is lovely. You know, I like to see people after they've seen the show. Sometimes I get a little cagey. It depends how I feel about the performance that night.
Actors are so critical of themselves. I mean, you give these brilliant performances, but I'm sure if one little thing goes off that night, or you slip on a word or something, you're probably like, "Oh my God, my whole performance was ruined," in your mind, right?
This man is his toughest critic. It's ridiculous. You see him come off after a phenomenal show, and he's just sat backstage going, "Man, I did not find it tonight."
I'm the worst. I'm obnoxiously critical of myself. It's terrible.
Truly.
And,
I'm the same as you, Gus. Yeah.
It's bad. We got to get over that. We'll get over that together, Zara.
Oh, you'll get over that together. You'll get over that together. You know, you were supposed to already have your Broadway opening night, which would have been your Broadway debuts for all of you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before we get into that, let's talk about your opening night you had down at the New York Theater Workshop. How exciting was that opening night? Because you've had one, which is great. You were in New York, you were downtown. How magical was that night for all of you? What do you remember?
It was almost surreal, you know. I mean, it was I don't remember much. I think I went home early because I was like so overwhelmed.
Me too.
But it was it was amazing just to get to celebrate with everybody who'd ever been involved with it, you know. It was great to see everybody all in the same place and to really get to celebrate that. It was a huge accomplishment, you know.
Yeah, I remember being called like, "Oh, Zara, you've got flyers and you've got a few things of flyers." And I'm like, "From who?" Like, it was really, really beautiful, and I had never experienced anything like that. To walk into a room and there's just like gifts and things, which was amazing. And yeah, the party was beautiful. We went to B-Bar in the East Village.
That's beautiful.
And and everyone was dressed really cool. I remember everyone was really excited, and I think you guys talked for like 2 months about what suits you were going to wear, and it was really exciting.
Yeah, it was gorgeous. I brought my parents out for that night, and they came to see it. They can see it. They're the best. They came to see it 2 nights before that, but then they also came on the opening night, and it was just lovely for me to invite them into this world that I'd managed to like create in this brand new city where I knew no one, all for myself. It was nice for them to be able to see that I was being looked after, I was being taken care of. I had people who supported me around me, and that's why I really look back on that night like with fond memories. Is it was a moment of old family meeting the new family and the blending of them together. It was lovely.
Yeah.
You have an incredible creative team. I mean, talk about your director. Let's hear it for Rebecca Tastman, right?
It's her birthday
Whose
today
birthday?
as well.
Yeah.
Oh, it's her birthday today?
Happy birthday, Rebecca.
Happy birthday. Let's talk about what it's like working with her. And of course, Sonia, we have to give a big shout out to.
Oh my God, yeah.
Sonia.
Love.
Sonia.
So much love for those women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the process of working with them. This has been a really organic process, hasn't it, been working on this show?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's incredible. Ender's words are phenomenal. The base material of the film is great. Ender's turned it into something astounding.
Yeah.
And then you think with such a brilliant plan already in place, they'd just be lasering forward, forgetting everyone's impulses and just getting what they want done. Mm-hmm. I've never been in a more open, receptive room in my life, and the piece shines for it. Rebecca takes on every question, every idea that you have, and she'll incorporate it in some way, and it feels so much more like your piece, and you're not just a pawn in it. It's great.
They show up to discover what it is every day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I always it's Rebecca and Sonia are beautiful in the way where they meet you halfway.
Yeah.
So they don't just give you they don't just tell you what they want to see. They see what you do, and they meet you, and they take what you have and add to it or tidy it up a bit. And it makes you feel like you have ownership over what you're doing, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's really hard to get, and they're amazing. And Gary and Pete as well, and incredible.
One of the things I personally struggle with just as an actor is always the idea that anyone else could be doing this right now and it would make very little difference to the piece. Like any role that I get, I'll always think, great, I'm doing it, this is lovely. But I know that if I wasn't available, there's someone else who looks almost identical to me ready to walk into my spot. I never really felt like that on Sing Street, because they always made you feel such a vital part of what we were creating. It wasn't just a slot you in here and we'll see what you do with it. It was we've got you guys here in this room with us to build it with us. And that's why we're all so excited for it to come back, is we're all so heavily involved in it.
Yeah, they help you find real ownership over what the words that you're saying and the character you're playing, and Rebecca's direction and Sonia's direction, choreography is like it's more insightful than it is dictatorial. It's more like they like plant seeds that grow rather than like you were saying, Zara, like giving you a very specific, rigid framework. Which is lovely. It's scary. It's more vulnerable, I think, to feel like a little bit like.
Oh, is he gone?
No, because that's the interesting thing is this show is so organic to watch your performances. Like you were saying earlier, I mean, you're not just rigidly put into something. These are your roles. I mean, you can see that. Did we lose something? Are we all on?
I think we lost. We lost it for a moment, but now I can see everybody again.
I think we're back here.
It's the internet traveling around the world. That's what we're doing.
Everybody is on Zoom right now.
Peak time.
Everyone's grabbing, the internet out of the sky, which I think is really fascinating. Now, there's a lot of changes that were done between the New York Theater Workshop and Broadway, right? I mean, there's some new songs too. Like Zara, you have a brand new song, don't you?
Yes, it's the most beautiful, beautiful song, and I'm so honored to be able to sing it. And Gary is just the most phenomenal storyteller and songwriter, and I'm just really honored. It's beautiful.
What's the name of the song? Tell the audience the name of the song and what's making it so special.
Love and Stars.
Yeah.
And what I love about it is that it's Rafina's time and moment for the audience to see how she's actually feeling. And she kind of lets her big front and her model front disappear, and it's just her, you know, what she's like on her own, and it's beautiful.
Yeah. For the gentlemen, are there new moments for you between off-Broadway and Broadway?
Yeah,
it's
it's ridiculous. We looked at what we'd made off Broadway and went, "This is a good show. Well done, us. We've made a good show." And then we heard the news we were transferring, and we were like, "Oh, I assume we'll just take our good show and put it on a bigger house, and that'll be it." But we reinvented this. We tore it to shreds.
Yeah.
Almost every single page has differences and nuances and new ideas and new musical numbers and new instruments and new vocal parts and new keys. We've changed Dream for You, which was in our show Downtown, which is sort of, it felt like a Christian folk song before. It felt like this sort of sadly beautiful and strange, sad number about dreaming for someone. Is now this U2 sex anthem, basically. It's gorgeous.
Yes,
it's phenomenal. Every single time we played it in the room, you just felt the whole room like just lift a little bit off the ground. It was phenomenal. So to rediscover that was a real joy.
Yeah, it's amazing how much changed while keeping like what made the play so great, the story so great to begin with. You know, and I think, you know, we have Brenock and I have a little duet now. I don't know if I shouldn't give it away, you know. I don't know.
It's so beautiful.
I want people to be surprised, but also, you know, I mean, I don't know, but you know, maybe next fall. But there's a beautiful little duet that we have now, and I think we were all feeling towards the end, like, you know, we did a few runs of the play, the last Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, before that Thursday when everything shut down. We did a run each day of the play, and I think it was, you know, I think the energy in the room was like, wow, we have, I mean, it felt like it was all working together on a level that I didn't even know to hope for, you know. I mean, it was just firing on all cylinders, the changes that they made. So I hope we get to share that with them.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to. It's going to come back. When it comes back, we don't know. But believe me, you guys, you're all coming back.
Yeah.
You know, I love 80s groups. I mean, 80s music. I loved 80s music. What were some of your favorite 80s groups?
Oh, God.
You listened to XTC Backstage.
XTC, man. Phenomenal.
You know, it was, I think Enda came back and like played it for us. Right. And then I was like, I heard it and I was like, what is that?
Oh, I don't know what you're
listening to it my whole childhood. My uncle.
We're only making plans for Nigel.
You know what?
Just losing our minds in tech to what was it? Senses working overtime.
Yeah.
And when we were teching Downtown, we were listening to that song heavily. And anytime we fully like zoned out or just had a little like mind melting moment, we just turned to one another and just go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Senses working. It was ridiculous. It was the only coping mechanism we had because that tech was intense.
Yeah, it was
Downtown. Yeah.
Because my favorites are like Spandau Ballet and Duran Duran. I'm obsessed. You know, Flock of Seagulls. I'm obsessed with those groups.
Yeah.
I'm into the darker stuff. I'm into the Smiths and the Cure.
I love the Smiths. I'm obsessed.
It's just there's questionable motives behind the man now, but Morrissey is a genius. His 80s stuff is a genius.
Yeah, genius. And Hall & Oates. I just love Hall & Oates.
Hall & Oates are the best.
They're like
phenomenal.
So good. Yeah.
The clothes were a little funky, but the music was fabulous in the 80s. It was all of those like shoulder patty, like it was very like space, like I don't know, something out of Star Trek or whatever, these short like jackets or whatever, like butler jackets, but these big shoulders with like zags and zigs and one button or whatever else.
I also love just the straight suits. So many guys were just walking about wearing just suits every day, and I love that. Aesthetically, I'm well into that. Wish that returns.
Yeah.
We had so many laughs doing our choreographing these songs. It's just so 80s. It's, yeah.
Mental.
For people who don't know what Sing Street is, why have so many people fallen in love with this so far? And what do you think the message in this musical is for audiences? Without giving too much away, but it's such a beautiful story of what this musical is.
I think and I think the reason why when we come back will be so necessary for the resurgence of Broadway is it's a story of fighting against a broken system and reclaiming a life that you actually want to live, which I think is something that everyone will be going through once this nightmare is over. Everyone will be trying to reclaim parts of themselves that they lost to the quarantine.
Music as expression in the face of like incredible hardship.
Yeah.
Which is
And to just do things now. If you want to do something, just do it now. Don't wait. You're never going to go if you don't go now. As the lyrics from yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful story. Growing up, where did your love for performing and music come from for each of you?
I took piano lessons from a very young age. My parents made me take piano lessons, which I hated at the time, and now I'm so grateful for it. So that's kind of where the music, that's where my love of music came from and grew. And my mom is an actor. So I was also, she worked at some like theater camps over the summer that I would do so that nobody would have to babysit me, and I would, and so that's probably where I fell in love with acting too. I think both of them came from the decisions my parents made for me.
Got it.
Nice.
Yeah. My father did a lot of amateur acting when I was a child, but he also had a Bruce Springsteen tribute band. And I remember sometimes when, say, the sound and lighting guy was off, I would be 12 or 13 and I would be put in the sound box to do, like, in proper places. Like, it was... And a lot of things went wrong, and we used to have an ice rink. My childhood was...
I love this story.
We used to have an ice rink that we used to take around Ireland, and we would put shows on last minute for, New Year's Eve or Halloween. We used to just improvise like Cinderella, and so I was kind of always thrown into things, and I think I love that feeling of you don't know what's going to happen, or you feel really alive, and that's, I think, is what I love about it.
My love of acting definitely stemmed from music. My dad is the lead singer of an Irish folk band, just like locally in my hometown. So every Thursday night he'd leave for a gig and he'd come back and he'd have these stories to tell of what went down with the gig, and I'd just listen. And then I started to want to get involved. So I started playing a little bit of keys, but wasn't very good. Started picking up a ukulele. And then as I got bigger, moved on to the guitar. My dad sat me down and said, 5 minutes of guitar every day, me teaching you it. And that's all I did. I've never had a guitar lesson in my life.
Wow.
Before this, I'd never had a singing lesson. Before I got to Broadway, I'd never got a singing lesson. But it all just stemmed from watching my dad and picking up what he did, which did mean I learned his bad habits, but we've erased them now, and we've made it better. We've improved.
Was there a defining moment for each of you when you said, I want to be an actor? I have to do this?
I was very lucky to be thrown into the world of work as an actor from a very young age. So that moment where I knew that it was like what I wanted to do, I was already 4 years into doing it. And so just kept that moment to myself and just steadily carried on doing it. It wasn't like a moment where I was working somewhere else and realized, I need to be an actor. I've just always been fortunate enough to be working in a world which I love. And it's one of the great joys, despite all the craziness that's going on in the world. Looking back on the past 10 years of my life, I've been very fortunate to just do what I love.
Yeah. I feel like, and I know people say that a lot, I feel like I've always been an actor, even when I wasn't rehearsing for a play, or I didn't even go to, amateur drama schools or anything. I don't know. I just kind of always felt like it would be what I was going to do. Yeah.
I think it was
just for you.
Yeah, at some point in high school, I did. I think the summer between my 10th and 11th year, I did a program at RADA, and for a couple months, and I think it was around then that I thought, oh, I could actually enjoy doing this for my life. But even then, I wasn't quite fully, I still, my first choice of college was to go to Northwestern to double major in acting and physics. and then I got waitlisted, and I was too proud to do the waitlist. So I decided, I'll just throw all my chips in the, I'll go to drama school. And I'm glad I did. I loved my experience at school.
Well, it's all. Have you ever second guessed yourselves? Because we have actors watch this all around the world. Was there a point in your life where you second guessed yourself and said, maybe I should have done something else? And what sustained you through that?
I'd say every other day of the singing rehearsal period. Every other day, I'd go, holy, this is so out of my level. This is completely not where I'm meant to be. Someone's messed up the system, and someone's put me in the place.
Is there a point in our life where we didn't question?
I think that the only way that you can be an actor is by constantly hating the fact that you're an actor, until you get those brief moments that shine through where you go, oh, it all makes sense. And then
exactly.
Why didn't that last? Where did that go? I know that me and Gus were constantly backstage just going, it'll be all right, mate, you'll be fine. And then the next day I'd be on the floor and we'd be like, here we go, you're up. And that's
completely.
When you find a group of people who are constantly like that and will always help you up, that's where the family line of Q Street comes from. Is everyone is constantly breaking and needing help up, and that's the love of this job, is helping everyone along the way.
Amen.
Completely.
That is so beautifully put. Zara, for you, did you ever have any doubts?
Absolutely. Every play I've ever rehearsed in, there's been a moment where I've called my mother and said, so how would I go about becoming a nurse? So, what would I have to do? Is it too late? Every play I've rehearsed for about a week, I've been like, but it's the same as you, Brenock. It's like every other day. Seriously,
you doubt it, but then you realize that you do love it, but you hate the way it makes you feel at times, but you love doing it.
Yeah. It's that alive feeling, and what you said, those little moments is what it's all about, and you want to do all that stuff so you can have those moments,
It's a scary job because you're always a breath away from either crippling self-consciousness and self-hatred or profound meaning and purpose. and literally sometimes a breath away from one or the other. And I think it's learning to kind of love that back and forth, which, if you guys ever figure it out, let me know.
That's the gig.
I also have to ask you about auditioning, because we have so many actors watching all around the world on this. Are you good at auditioning, or what made you good at auditioning? What's the secret to a good audition?
I don't think there is such a thing as a good audition. You can't know what they're looking for before you walk in. So why would you ever try and force yourself into that pigeonhole? You don't know what the casting director or the director or the producers want. You know what you think they want. You might as well just go in there and do what you think should be done with the script that's in front of you. And if they like it, they like it. It's not really a case of forming yourself to what they want. It's them trying to find what they want in you and then bring it out in their own ways. That, at least that's with a good director and a good casting director. That's what they're looking for. Sometimes they are just trying to shove you into something and you're like, ooh.
The trap of auditioning is thinking that it's up to you at all whether or not you get cast in what you're going out for. It's just totally not. It has nothing to do with you. I weirdly sometimes feel better at auditioning than I do like playing a role once I've gotten it, because I figured out like just you know, psychologically, like there's no pressure on an audition. Like there really is no. If you go in knowing you're not going to get it, which I think is a good way to go into every audition, just knowing like this is not up to me. Like it doesn't, you know, there's nothing that I can do differently that will get me this role. And it just lifts all the pressure, and you get to just do the best version of it that you can, you know, get to enjoy your work. And yeah, anyway, so I think that's there is a secret.
Yeah,
that's it.
I think it's that thing as well that I've kind of learned is you're valid. So whatever you bring, no one else is going to do what you're going to do. So don't, you shouldn't feel the need to try and do anything else and be no one other than yourself. And that's a lot, how do I say that? That's a lot easier said than done. Because I do struggle as well, you know. I find them really scary, so I don't know.
And building on that valid thing, if you go in and you do what you think is right and they don't like it or they don't go in that direction, it doesn't mean anything on your performance. There's nothing. I've seen some of my, there are thousands of people more talented than me who I've auditioned against and I've got the role purely because I was available or I fit in with the family they'd already cast. It really doesn't come down to talent at all. And the moment that you had brown hair. Exactly. It's more about your physical traits at times. But as long as you don't beat yourself up when you don't get something, you're on the right track.
Yeah.
Beautifully put. Thank you for being so honest about that, because I talk to actors all the time. Young actors are watching this saying, I never know what to do when I open that door, you know, to audition. Like, where do you set your mindset for all of that? You know, you have a brand new album. The cast album has come out, right? You just released this week, right?
Yeah, we do.
I mean, that had to have been so exciting because we never talked about the score to this. The score to Sing Street is stunning.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah, what was it like recording it, now having it out there in the world?
So
I mean, it's mental. It's mental. These songs will forever be listened to with us singing them. And the night it came out here before it landed in the States. And I was once again stood on my balcony with my headphones on, just literally just breaking down, just weeping, listening to Go Now. Because the song's emotional. The song comes at an emotional point in the story. But for me, every single time I hear that song, I'm just stood backstage at New York Theatre Workshop with Zara, waiting to go on for the curtain call while Gus is singing his heart out.
We have a little dance.
We do. We stand back there and we just have a little boogie while he's singing the final bar. And it's for me, the album is incredible that it's out and people are going to experience our show without it being on. Great. But for me, purely selfishly, it is a transport into happier times in the middle of all this craziness.
Yeah. For you too.
Yeah. I just can't believe it. It's like a dream come true. I never thought that I would be involved in an original Broadway cast album. And it's a dream come true, and the music is beautiful, and stunning. I just feel so lucky to be involved in it. You know, it's beautiful. And I think it's come out at a really good time when we all need joy and positivity.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Amen. Yeah, I never even really thought to dream. I never even really dreamed about like being on a cast album. It's so funny, but you know, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And the experience of getting to do it was really fun too. It was very nerve-wracking for me, you know, because I'd never recorded anything in a professional studio before. But I think I got the bug a little bit. I was, you know, I was like, I could do this. I could somebody gave me an opportunity. So no, it was a great all around. And it's such beautiful music. Please go listen to it if you haven't.
Yeah. Dude.
Like I said, the score to this show is incredible. What is your favorite moment, not that you do, but that someone else here does in the show?
Okay.
Oh, for me, there's this little hang in Love and Stars just at the end. There's this little moment where the final line of the chorus has been said, and it just lingers. Yeah. Just that little second too long, and it eventually hits back. And every single time I'd be stood at the side. It was only in the Broadway rehearsals that we had this song, and I was just stood at the side, and I just went, "Yeah, that's what musical theatre needs to be." Just that little moment of, and there it is. It's stunning, and Zara does that perfectly.
Thanks. Yeah. For me, it's the moment in Slow Up when you, Brenock. Oh, I don't want to say. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
At the start, when I can't even say it.
Yeah,
and you know what I'm talking about.
It's gorgeous. When this comes back, you'll see all these beautiful changes, and you'll realize why we're so fired up about it all.
Yeah.
Gus, for you, another favorite moment of somebody's.
I think Zara's new introduction is one of my favorite.
Oh, it's stunning.
Yeah.
I don't know how much to say about that, but it's sorry, I keep almost cursing. It's hilarious, perfect in every way, and the way that she does, and the way that you do it is like brilliant. And then I think Brenock, the new Dream for You, and just the whole choreography, and like you like climbing on that friggin' tower. I know, sorry.
Yeah. No one's gonna know what it is. It's all
nobody knows. Nobody knows. You know, this song that has changed it. You are like are a rock star in that song. I mean, it's really like it's just so fun to watch every time I can see you do it.
That song is the real meeting point of all of our creative geniuses. That is Gary reclaiming one of his songs and showing the world what it deserves to be. And then it's Rebecca having this beautiful story to tell at the heart of all of it. And then it's just surrounded by this just wall of movement by Sonia. And it all just falls into place in that number so perfectly. It's the epitome of beauty.
Brenock, I just have to ask you about Game of Thrones for a second, because people who know you from that may be coming to Broadway for the very first time because, oh my gosh, someone who I love from Game of Thrones, I'm going to go see this new thing. And they've never been to a show before, like a live experience, a live Broadway show, and it's going to change their life, because we all went through that with something. What does that mean to you?
Well, that would be lovely. If I've been obsessed with musical theatre before I was obsessed with much else. When I started acting, like going to my drama groups, I wanted to be Valjean in Les Mis. That was the only thing I wanted to do with my life, is I was going to play Valjean, and I was going to play it until I died. Thank you very much. And then other opportunities started driving themselves up, and I started to do little bits of TV and stuff. And musical theatre got sort of pushed by the wayside. My voice wasn't strong enough anyway, and it all just sort of like fell apart sort of on that front. But I was working on other stuff. So now, even just the possibility that someone might have seen me on Thrones and will give Broadway a chance and might open their eyes to the wonder of musical theatre is great. Because musical theatre gets a bad rap in the outside world. There's still a lot of people who think it is just a lot of strange people dancing about and saying things that they could easily just say in a song. I think it's so much more than that. It's the most effective way to tell a story if it lends itself to that medium well.
Yeah. So Jean Valjean was a dream role for you.
That was the dream role for me. Yeah, that was the one that I was like, yeah, that'll do. I can die happy if I do that.
Did Gus or Zara, did you have a dream role from like a musical? You'd be like, I would love to do this one day.
I'm so lucky I got to do my dream roles in high school. So now
what was the big one?
I got to do Hamlet and Sweeney Todd in high school.
All right.
Wow.
That's a nice mix.
It was great, man. It was a great year. Yeah.
Zara, for you, dream role in a musical.
Mary Poppins.
Good for you. All right.
Stop.
I'll give you a strong Mary Poppins.
Gotta be Mary Poppins. Love
like
it
flying and all. The flying Mary Poppins. Like you get to fly
everything.
In the show, right?
I need everything.
That was Bob as well, wasn't it? That was Bob Crowley.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, you got
I want to see you all do these roles at some point, even if it's here or whatever. My final question for each of you is: what have you each learned about yourself during this stay-at-home time?
Good question.
I've got my answer.
Okay.
That I can be comfortable in my own space, and I didn't. I've been so busy before that I was constantly with people, but I'm happy in my own space. Yeah.
Beautiful.
I think my life is a constant cycle of finding gratitude for things and then forgetting and getting entitled and then rediscovering gratitude for things. And then I just think I'll be doing that until I die. And this has, I'm very much in a place of, this has made me realize how deeply grateful I am for things that I've taken for granted.
Beautiful.
I think for me, there's always been this weird balance with my work and my happiness. I was not well treated at school. I was heavily bullied. And I found work in that, and it got me out of school, and I'd see the world and I'd meet new people. And that always meant that work was the forefront and the meaning of my happiness. And then you start to have other things happen in your life. And I think that in this quarantine time, I've started to realize that I don't just rely on my work for my happiness anymore. And that's a lovely realization to have, is to go, you know what, you've got a base now around you of people that are in your life that you didn't have before. And it's okay to not be working now, because I was terrified. As soon as they said we're going to stop work and we don't know when we'll be back, I was like, oh God, that means sadness for me until I work again. So in this time, I've really realized that, yeah, I love my work and it's gorgeous and these people are incredible, but I can still keep the people without the work. So that's what I've learned.
Beautifully put. I want to thank you all for being just so honest, and being here with me today. I think the one thing that everyone's learning through this, that when we do come back, we're all going to be living in the moment more than we did before. We're not going to be thinking about tomorrow or the next job or what's going to happen. You're just going to focus with the person you're with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's the one thing I've learned more than anything is we have these careers that you're waiting for what's going to happen next, or, everybody who I speak to say, well, this show will be over. It's just the actor's trait. Like, will I ever work again? How long will this last? I got to look into this. I want to do a commercial. I want to do that. I think we're all just going to be really living in the moment and appreciating who we are, what we offer as a human being to the world and just to people in your lives. I think that's one big thing we're all going to come back with, I think.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, I also want to thank our audience who tuned in today. And, if anybody out there wants to donate to anything, there's always the Actors Fund, and there's also BroadwayCares.org, because for some of you who don't know, this is a 6-week fundraising where BCEFA normally has the Red Bucket Follies, that if you were open, they would be fundraising at your theater. They have a 6-week window where they raise over $6 million that they give back to the acting community, which they didn't have this year. So Broadway Cares has an online COVID-19 emergency assistance fund online. They have already raised over $2 million, which they have given to the Actors Fund. So it's pretty special what they've done already just with people online.
Amazing.
Yeah, so, that's really strong.
I'd like to also tell our audience to please join me on Friday, because I'm going to have, it's a big anniversary for the original production of Rodgers and Hammerstein's Carousel and the anniversary of the recent revival. I'm going to have the stars from that show on. So join me again at 12 noon. But again, I want to thank you all from Sing Street. I, like many others, fell in love with your show at the New York Theater Workshop. You will be back. Broadway will be back bigger than ever. You'll be at the Lyceum. I will be there with many people on your opening night to celebrate your Broadway debuts. And remember what that day is like for you, because when I see you at the party that night, one of my big questions is going to be, what was that day like for you? And what do you remember when you took that bow that night? It's going to be a really magical night for all of you.
Absolutely.
So listen, I thank you virtually from tuning in from Vermont, from London, from Ireland. I want to thank you all. And everybody stay safe, wash your hands, wear a mask, and we'll see you soon when Broadway kicks back into full steam again. Thanks again, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Really great. Big applause to all of you.